Hello, hello! Pia here, and today I'm with my partner Winzen.
Good day, I'm Winzen and we're here today at Barangay Balong Bato, San Juan, where we will be interviewing the barangay captain, the residents, and the waste management officer.
But before we start the interview, let us learn more about the environmental waste disposal.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, defines environmental waste as any unnecessary resource, use, or release of substance into the water, land, or air that could harm human health or the environment. Environmental waste encompasses various types of waste, from construction, scraps, and demolition debris to tank residues, chemical or oil spills, air emission, and wastewater leaks. Environmental waste management is the process of handling and disposing of this waste safely.
Now, let's move on to the interview. So, we have here the resident of the Barangay Balong Bato, San Juan. So, my question for you is, what are the effects of waste disposal to you as a resident here in Barangay Balong Bato, San Juan?
Hi, ako nga pala si Juan. Gusto ko lang sana humingi ng tulong sa pagpaayos ng waste management sa lugar namin. Dahil ito ay nakaka-apekto na sa aking buhay at sa buhay ng aking mga kapitbahay. Di na ako nakakatulog sa gabi dahil sa amoy ng basura. Di na rin ako nakapag-aral dahil dito. Gusto ko lang sana humingi ng tulong para bumalik ng aking buhay katulad ng dati. Sana ako ay matulungan niyo. Salamat!
And thank you so much for that. And now, let's move on to my partner Winzen to interview the Barangay Captain of Balong Bato, San Juan.
Here with us is the barangay captain of Balong Bato, San Juan, Mr. Omar. Good day, Mr. Omar. As a person with power and influence over the citizens, what do you plan on promoting in order to solve the issue of waste management in your barangay?
Good morning everyone. My name is Omar Bangahan Mercado, ang kapitan ng Balong Bato, San Juan. Matagal na naming problema ang waste disposal problem dito. Kaya ang sinabi ng mga tao o kami, enough is enough. Yun yung sinabi namin. Kaya we decided to make protocols to solve the problem. So what's our plan? So our plan is by separating the recyclable and the non-recyclable by building a cage for both of them. Now, yung recyclable item, waste, or materials na yan ay gagawin namin bagong product or gagawa kami ng bago using those materials. So yung mga bago na yun is those are the materials or the needs of everyone in this community. Para i-replace or hindi na sila bumili ng bago, kundi gamitin na lang ang luma o parang bago. So by using those recycled materials, magiging positive effect ito sa community natin. Paano? Bakit? Hindi na natin kailangang bumili pa ng water bottles, mga plastic, o anong man nakakasira sa ating kalikasan or sa ating community. By using those recycled materials, ay mare-replace niya yung mga binibili natin and makakatulong na rin ito sa community natin. And in our community, we provide them what they need.
Thank you for your answer. Now, back to you, Pia.
And now, let's interview a random kid here in the barangay. So, can you describe how the rigging of the disposal is and what are the struggles that you've encountered here as a kid living in the barangay?
Hi, ako nga po pala si Rodson ng Balong Bato, San Juan. And I just live right next to that house right there. At narinig ko pong nag-interview kayo ng mga residente dito and I just wanted to answer some questions. So, what I think about the waste is that it's very smelly and irritating and overall just disgusting. And the smell of it just makes me wanna puke at times and I can't even focus answering my assignments because you can smell the waste up to our house. Yeah, I think it has been a struggle because of the waste problem.
Thank you for that answer. It must be hard to live with this kind of situation, but we all know that we have a solution for this kind of problem. And now, for our last subject, the waste management officer, who will be interviewed by my partner Winzen.
For our last interview for today, we have Mr. Meneses, the waste management officer of this barangay. So, what exactly do we need in order to solve this issue? Knowing the effects of it on the population, what is the right way to fix it?
So what exactly can we do to help reduce the waste we produce? Well, one way is to know proper waste disposal, or better yet, waste disposal. But what exactly is waste disposal? Well, waste disposal is the collection, processing, recycling, or disposition of waste materials. Waste materials could either be liquid or solid in form, and thus the components could either be hazardous in their effects on health and the environment. Knowing proper waste disposal can help preserve the environment, protect public health, promote safety, and many more. So, how exactly can one do proper waste disposal? The most basic thing you can do is to do the 3 R's: reducing waste, and reusing and recycling resources, which is taught to us during our elementary days. These basic principles can be done by anybody of any age and all help to reduce the waste that we produce. Throwing your waste in the right waste bin, using reusable bags, containers, rags and cloths, bringing your own silverware when going out, having your own reusable water bottle, buying foods with little or no packaging, and avoiding drinking with a disposable straw are some ways to help reduce
Very
waste.
well said. We wish you the best of luck in performing that in order to finally stop the issue of waste management in our barangay. This interview is coming to an end. Thank you for listening.
So, did anybody enjoyed and learned something today? Well, I hope so.
What is research? Research is the systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. There are 2 methods to research. These are qualitative and quantitative research.
But first, we need to know what is qualitative research. This is a type of naturalistic inquiry that aims to learn more about social phenomena in their natural setting. It focuses on the why of social phenomena rather than the what, and is based on people's actual experiences as definition in their daily lives.
Next is we have quantitative research. This is referred to as the process of collecting as well as analyzing numerical data. It is generally used to find patterns, averages, predictions, as well as cause-effect relationships between the variables being studied.
So what are the unique differences between qualitative and quantitative research?
In society, research plays a vital role. It is how discoveries are made, ideas are reinforced or refuted, and how theories can be developed or refined. I'll be discussing the aims of qualitative research since it is both vital and unique to the goals of researching in general. Qualitative research aims to show the structure, order, and broad patterns found among a group of participants. It is the primary process by which the theoretical foundations of social sciences can be constructed or revised. Qualitative research assists us in making sense of reality, describing and explaining the social world, and developing explanatory models and theories.
Although qualitative is useful when it comes to gathering information in a research, quantitative is also useful when it comes to conducting a good study of information when in research. So, I will now be discussing the research behind numbers and statistics. Quantitative research. Its aims of research is more on analyzing data with numeric values, for it is more descriptive and it is more expressed with graphs. Its questioning is more on testing the question rather than exploring more on what you're supposed to learn and developing from it. Quantitative research is more on understanding what is happening to our social world and why is it happening. It is for us to understand the events that are occurring to our social life.
To understand concepts, opinions, or experiences, qualitative research entails gathering and evaluating non-numerical data, such as texts, videos, or audios. It can be utilized to get in-depth understanding of subjects or to develop fresh research ideas. Quantitative research involves gathering and analyzing numerical data for statistic analysis. whereas qualitative research does not. In the humanities and social sciences, qualitative research is often employed in areas such as anthropology, sociology, education, health science, history, and so on.
Quantitative and qualitative research are different in many ways. They have different aims, different roles for the research, and different methods to create the research. In quantitative research, the methods used are more structured. Because of this, it precisely describes its procedures, opposite to its more involved counterpart. When gathering data for quantitative research, it would be more numerical for it to give a more statistical result. Since the data gathered would be numerical, it would also be more suitable and appropriate for the research since it would be more measurable. When sampling for the research also, it would also be preferred at random for the confidentiality and on the higher quantity, with able to obtain a more meaningful sample for your research to find the answer you need. And lastly, when studying complex phenomena, the researchers are able to change their answers to what they see fit since they have the data gathered and needed for the answer. This shows how different quantitative and qualitative researchers are on their methods. The researchers are able to find the answer they needed because of this.
In quantitative research, the ability to draw conclusions with a reasonable amount of confidence relies on having an accurate sample size calculation, as without this, it can lead to results of being missed, biased, or just plain incorrect. It can also result in a rendering a study unethical, unpublishable, or both.
Qualitative research. When it comes to qualitative research, it is required for you to have a smaller amount of sample size compared to quantitative research. For adding more participants does not necessarily contribute to your research, or it does not necessarily add up to what you already learned from other volunteers during an interview. So when it comes to qualitative research, it is really required for you to consider on how much sample size you're going to use. For you do not want to go to the topic of how much or how many interviews you conducted during that research. So it is really suggested for you to go for the minimum when it comes to qualitative research, for it is still the best way for you to get the best result or best answer for your questions during a qualitative research.
The role of the researcher in terms of qualitative research is to attempt to access the thoughts and feelings of the study participants. However, the data are being collected. A primary responsibility of the researcher is to safeguard participants and their data. In quantitative studies, the role of the researcher is basically non-existent. Participants act independently as if he or she were not there. Quantitative studies ideally should be repeatable by others and under the same conditions should yield similar results. In correlational studies, the data are collected without regard to the participants or the person collecting the data.